Lama Tang Gombo Jesen Jambe Yang La Cha Cha Lo Kanji London Tim Yin Tinda Nien Da Nam Da Ra Sa We Chi Nian Tuen Guen Chi Shin Si Chi Nin Jin Tu Ga Len Bang Zi Kandai Si Bin Chuen Ra Ma Ri Mun Ton Tu Ngai Ji Si We Ru Cui Kun Lai Bu Ji Dar Zi Yen Lai Chu Ju Yang Den Song Zhou Dar Chen Zhou Nyun Mo Lin Jin Zhang Zhou Chong Zin Qin Ma Ri Min Sen Dong Ai Nyun Gu Qi Nian Chun Zi Ran Di Nam Den Nian Dan Jin San Jin Tar Sin Yun Den Lun Zoi Yal Sin Tu Wei Chun Dan, Chun Yi, Ta Le Mun Sen Jambi, Yang Lan Du, Marabazana De, 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 Marabazanandi, Marabazanandi, Sindin Kenji Kenra Senge Talen Timo Membarabsan Kandan Denji Shunlun Tombai London Bomben Zaldoin Soin Kangsen Tawaren Deba Chungsen Tiwar Gomboin Jamyan Denyin Den Kengmen Paryang Tongwar Shu Ninja Chimbo Zede Nimen Shin Sune Molam Chimbo Nganje Da Pega Tanga Tsendu Chimindo Temba Tuje Chen Lam Kui Cha Cha Uyen Solen Bemen Dongbo La Jawe Namjo Ranju Lunjin Tu Tsenzo Beje Yenden Sombarwa Bema Junen Da Lu Ben Chun Kyung Gunzang Dorzen Garab Shiri Sen Bema Karan Jeba Nishung Sozo Namnyan Den Jazan Zo Gaden Lama Namla Sowa De Omen Chuji Injin Podane Tusum Sandi Kunjin O Ni Rasim Chugu Ngonsum Denzep Zawe Lame Shabla Sowa Den Daso Drewe Lamnan Chulanju Gonju Tomba Power Chinji Lo Namba Sanjin Bi Chugi Nyamlengi Tsawa De Ani Semgi Tingni Chigo Yuji Ani Semgi Nane Yang Ta Tumong Tekba La Lamgi Nyamle Mangbu Yebe Nane Tsawe Tsawa De Changjuki Sem Rinpoche Indi Anti Tomar Saltab De Chu Sembrishu
All the Buddhist practices, are based on the mind and the reality of the mind, and hence also in the general context of the teachings, the developing the mind of awakening, bodhicitta, is the real root of the practice.
Ngaranzo Ting Lobjong Chedi Lama Thukdrub Barchey Kunsel Nane Den Lama Mawey Senge Tupta Thi Kola Lobjong Nangi Yure Den Layang Thongmar Ani Japsu Drawa Tang Semje Ba Ani Tegana Shingi Ani Galjen Sawala Ani Kegla Torma Teba Senta Di Shutub Simbare
So therefore, also please begin in this way by giving rise to the mind of awakening. And what we are concerned with is the sadhana of Guru Mawey Senge. And that sadhana begins with refuge and bodhicitta. And then that is followed by the way to overcome negative circumstances. And there we have covered the Toma for the obstacle makers and driving away the obstacle makers.
아니 dorma tiang dangwa shuba nashingi teni igi ram yam kamsumgi sektor 2 ne tongbarchang
And the Toma is purified into emptiness by being burnt, scattered, and washed away.
ta dangwa dorma chilap che tela namkha jogi ngak senji shuin bala
And we had this mantra called the mantra of the treasury of space yesterday.
ta digi tenda ro dordune shuna
To say a little more about the meaning of that.
대신 shekba yiche su gyurba tham chela chasalo la
We can also say that it means all homage to all Tathagatas, those who are trustworthy, truly trustworthy.
아니 딘디기 ngak 대신 shekba 아니 착살베 top 아니 ngebartu namkhala 아니 되니 띵기 남바 된 남케 잉네 아니 계획된조 소다티로 렉자기 남바 본주소바 가리 되게 여바 대나신 토발라 미규르와 템버큐치 수미 돈다시레도
And we say, so the meaning of the mantra then is may let all the obstacle makers be satisfied with these clouds of whatever it is that makes them satisfied, filling space. Let them be satisfied and firmly and truly, something like that.
ten labor도 상기 넘버 낭제기 아니 토가니 이게 캄 온보 텔레 대기 외세기 아니 객남라 제 ngobo 강다 강 되바 대양 되는 자차와 남카 나신 미세바 딘디 톱송 삼고 그래 토가니 이게 캄
From the heart center of the victorious Vairocana comes this syllable kam, anadiki,
아니 카도 ngombo 트레네
which is blue.
되니 객딘조라 수다 디로 렉자 코랑저 강라 강 되베기 윤댕기 넘버 2데 라 안디야 렌직 베주단에 조야 멤버 미세바 남카나신 갸쳐와 강라 강 뭐다 침진 버도 톱송 삼고 그래
And from that syllable then emerge an infinite array of forms, sounds, taste, and touch, smells, everything that is pleasing and satisfying to the obstacle makers. And it's not just once that this happens, it's this sort of infinite display, inexhaustible display of whatever they require to feel satisfied.
다 디기 질라 테니 ngaranzo namju jigdenbe lula kuma데 칠 삐차베 jel라 테 고템부 진이 잡기로와 테나신기 계획남 치때 사베 jel라 테니 랑기 냠낸 제사데 템부기 넘버 쇠버 제발라 숭구르 콩고레스
And just like in the world, when one has banished thieves, if one has done that, driven them away, then once one knows that now the thieves are gone, if there was a thief in one's home, for example, then once the thief is no longer there, then one will make sure to close the door very firmly. And similarly to this way of thinking, we now, once the obstacle makers are gone, visualize the protection circle.
That's 거란라 님의 이시 랑아 최근강 참지길고 랑시 륜기도 송에 다두 다된 담백이 참 송샤바래.
And the verses read, in the non-dual wisdom state of deity, mantra, and dharmakaya, the boundary mandala is naturally self-perfected. So that expresses the nature of the ultimate protection circle.
니스 메바 세겐디 ngaranzo 송지 니스 메베기 셈 춘이 대이 ngo디 이시라 이시기라 이시기가 따테 추구 랑신라라 송지 니단 타베 낭두 데니다 참 제겐당 참 제사기 시세겐 가양 랑신기 마드베 데네 참기 결복인 낭두 길고 탐제다 룬기투 바시 공고
So in the non-dual wisdom state, in the non-dual state of mind, free from grasping in terms of object and subject, that mind which is in its essence wisdom state that is also the nature of deity, mantra, and dharmakaya. Within that state, the boundary mandala is naturally self-perfected. That is the ultimate protection circle.
테니 참지 결보 미도 이시기 낭두 테니 계기 결보 남도 nembarcha 스디니 숭그레.
So in other words, the ultimate, the king of all barriers, which is non-conceptual wakefulness, is applied to keep out the king of all obstacle makers, dualistic grasping.
테니 다 미도베 이시 코란이 ngola 아니 계기자위 남도 메디 테니 탐지 라nga 추구라시라 차데게리.
And since within that state of non-conceptual wakefulness, there are no obstacle makers in the form of dualistic grasping, therefore everything is by nature deity, mantra, and dharmakaya.
디 ngola 숭와라 자사기 율 숭와 지겐기 제바보 세gne 타미데바.
And so that which is protected and the protector are here inseparable.
땅아란조 참제사기 율디야 넘버 토바 인디 넘버 토바 탐질리 넘버 결과디 최기구이고 대란 차데게.
Since the ultimate obstacle is the dualistic grasping, since that is not present within the state of non-dual wakefulness, this is also the dharmakaya nature.
다딘데 지리 다디 도르드나 그런 치 코란디네 숭샤도아 안토스 게림 코란기 치타르도 게바르체나 아니 도르제기 사시 아니 도르제기 짝리기 라와 아니 둠보 구르기 남바 다딘데 지 곰고 그래.
So that is what the verses themselves say here. And if we elaborate a little more in terms of the visualization that can accompany this, then one visualizes a vajra floor or a vajra ground and a vajra fence and also a vajra dome on top.
된 도지 딱 강내 깝데 요와 되는 도지기 타와 타치 딱 가지 간조 땡상라나 단 먼저 속보기 고저우지 이래.
So what?
속보기 고 나마다우지.
So it's all made of vajras, like a fine web of vajras, and the shape is similar to a Mongolian tent.
다디 게림 소소 공발라 넘버 똑삼 만다와 이래.
Although they can be visualized slightly different from practice to practice.
Teni ani dorje ki kurtela ani ta tamjine meri barwa ani ta teni ta dinde nangla teni kalbe meyang shong munuba dinang thar munuba dinde ki tempo roshi dinde komko sare.
It is surrounded by flames, mountains of flames, and the protection that this Vajra web affords is so perfect that even the fire at the end of the eon cannot destroy it.
Teni chungsane kap chungchung yang dinangdu an jusa meba igung meba dorje tawe telde.
The fabric is so tightly made that it is impossible for anything to penetrate. You can't put a needle in between these vajras anywhere.
Ta dorje ki ani rimbal tela yang kase sungur ki rimbal tela yang dorje Rinpoche ki dorje ki rawa Rinpoche ki rawa ani peme ki rawa anyang dorje kyatam ki rawa tende shi nga raw tende yang miba gedu la tebe ki tende yongu yore.
Also, kind of.
Nga zo shil chi yora la shil te la layer mangbu yore la ani dorje ki layer chik yang di chiro la ani Rinpoche Rinpoche gyuna so le tebe layer chik ani mendo peme ki layer ani teka nashin dorje kyatam ki layer ta dinto nangla teni kek parche segen tsuksa ki koran koka pura meba
Lasso. Chi.
Dinde tsikpa yora la sungur dinde shi yora la dinde yang keba chena dinde komda yore yes.
Lasso. Meto pema de chilo na yore.
Mendo pema ki yang rawa korna nang tsuksa mera tili namba shi chonji
Lasso.
pema leg riki rikshi ki kone yang dinde yang ka pala chonja nga di kanla teni raldi kachir sukdeba dinde ta gedi rik mangbu ngto.
So this can also be visualized in a more elaborate form where we have successive layers of protection. So there's first the Vajra fence and dome and so on, and outside of that there is similarly surrounding that there's a ground and a fence and a ceiling which is made of jewels. Then after that, one that is made of lotus flowers, and finally one that is made of Vajra crosses, like double Vajras. But yes, and so in this way, for the Buddha families, successive layers of protection. Also, sometimes one can visualize swords that sit closely next to each other and point outward. So that depending on the practices that one trains in, the visualization can be somewhat different.
Ta dinde kerim chi tabto komdang nang tabto tege shubha nashi ta nime ki ngana nyambara shana ani keki kyalput ne yondi nubar cheken kankiya mitsuko chagyores.
So that is according to the various visualization practices, development stage practices. The ultimate protection is afforded by this non-dual wisdom state, where the king of all obstacles, dualistic thought, cannot endure within.
Ta degi shubha nashingi nga zo tayang chancha namba nga segen kapala dorje, korlo, rinchen, pema, raldis di namba nga aro zichor.
So also it can be a five-fold protection circle where we have Vajra, then wheel, then jewel, lotus flower, and Vajra cross.
Ta dinde mikpa salvo che matub na tane dorje sungwe kolo nangdo rang dang jubapo tamje chuyo sambe meba chena yan chogo yore.
Kange nangdo?
Di sungwe kolo shilgi nangla ta nga zo nyamne chege nga rang dang tani nyamne chege chogo tamje dinang ta yodi 다 최 냠년 지가나 발치 강기가 미수바 템부 차유 삼베 메바나나인지.
If the visualization is not perfectly clear, then it suffices to think that now I and those with whom I practice are protected within this dome of perfect protection.
아니 디게 저가 벤자 라캬 둠 숭도알라 벤자라 샤바 도르체로하.
And then Vajra, Benza, Raksha, Drum. Vajra is Vajra.
되니까 도르제 세겐데 디바 강기 그냥 좀 미니바 라좀 미니바 디바 강양 도르제기 넘버 텔라 축 미니바 데미트 받으시고.
And the Vajra is something that cannot be affected by any obscuration, something that cannot be harmed by any adverse circumstance.
다디 셈기 도르제를 고라 셈기 춘이기 도르제기 ngola number toba 탐지 좀바 number toba 탐지 셈기 ngola 축 민두바 네 민두바 잘받을 고래.
And that then again refers to the Vajra of the mind, within which conquers all the obstacles of dualistic thought and grasping, and which cannot be in any way harmed by a dualistic thought and grasping. That's what the Vajra ultimately refers to.
테네 디가 없으니 락샤스는데 숭와당 숭레다 딘데기 도르제 되기 테니 나란서 넘버 토바 탐제레 숭로시라.
And Raksha means protection. So with this Vajra, protection.
데 룸니 땅아도 샤예 관계베 사변에 다디.
And Drum is the syllable from which the palace arises.
타코란디 익충디나 숭도알라 초삼 탐제 도르제기 숭와 굴기 남바고다 안디야 메리 바르와다 제빈낭도 다다 송자 탐제 출발 삼세 잡샤도 대가라래.
So just as the small letters read, I am all to be protected, enter into the Vajra dome with the blazing mountain ring protecting towards all cardinal and intermediate directions.
안디기 숭의 콜로 검거그래 소리.
So in this way, one visualizes the protection circle.
아니 객도롱어와 찰 당보마도 미고베 생당한도 참라오 되게나 탱 당보들라 또르마 응을 거기도아 아니 제만 남라 또르마 메나양 또르마 디롱 셰베기 찹도 말도 네딜마도 스당고슈바나 신기 아니 이기 칸규네 되네 장학생의 숨반이 ngak데 아니 주고 말해서 또르마 유나 주고다 또르마 메나 네딜마도 신도 땡신 디잠주 나양 된고 말해서.
Dedicating the Toma for obstructing forces is not needed, and then says, except for the first time. So, as we talked about yesterday, also it's not necessary to continuously offer Toma. So, if one doesn't do that, at all subsequent times, you should replace enjoy this Toma with do not remain here. So, instead of Toma Dilong, Ne Dia Madu. And
다디 식시디 냠도 되나양 두벨루그레 아니 개버체나 찍니 단 빼잖아 여번나시 카탈니 되나 개벨루레 강다른 되나양 갈와메 버레. 우리 니낭 출배 전직 중복군 또르마티롱 라나 네수딩 안티 니메이 셀랑아 죽은가 참지 냠도 되야 디그레. 카가 되나니 단다 두나신 개벨루레스.
So the two lines that we read yesterday, all demons, obstructors, and so on page 70, and then this one, these two on page 72, they can be chanted together, in which case it is the concise practice, and one can also do them one after the other, which is then the elaborate way. So without with or without the mantra, the subjugating mantra. And then follows the bestowal of blessings.
Ani tengaranzo om ahung sende sanje tham chigi ku sung tuki sabere.
Om Ahung are the syllables, seed syllables of awakened body, speech, and mind.
Teni om chugu along ku hung tulku sende yang sung chogre.
Or we can say Om is Nyamanakaya, A is Sambhogakaya, and Hung is Dhammakaya.
Teni ngazo tengi wangdo chena kewa meba di chogi ku gaba meba longju zobre ku. Ani tukje ki kangla kangdul naso do tenba di tulbi ku.
Ultimately, the empty essence is the Dhammakaya, the unborn essence is the Dhammakaya, the unceasing nature is the Sambhogakaya, and the unified expression that arises in numerous ways to subdue, to tame anyone by whichever means necessary is the Nimanakaya.
Tadi jela teni Mawey Senge laso ingne sheng sona jita gongdu kusum tang ani Lama Mawey Senge ani laso segente la chogu nganzo chalwa konju longu riksin daju tulku gangsa nyingju teni terme ke chola teni juba tuk sine yongura oda dezo la soba tham che ta tukto kongma tham che chuki ingi nilu ne ya an kilgor ki ne de la pebro che shengro che so.
So host of deities of lion of speech. First we begin with the syllables for the three kayas, and then host of deities of lion of speech manifest from space. There we call upon the Dhammakaya transmission of the realization of the victorious ones, the symbolic transmission of the Vidyadharas, the Sambhogakaya, and the hearing lineage of the Nimanakaya. We call upon all those to manifest from space. So including the munis of the 6 realms and so on.
And teni ngaranzo dubabo namji teba tang mögu ki kone teni ani kaze jimbeb nangro na sen kulma chigire.
And we sorry, let resplendence descend on this place and bestow empowerments and siddhis. So we invoke these deities of the 3 kayas.
Ten tenga na shin ze tenla teni nganzo pö tinto pare tang teni ngak doyan tang tingin zingi kone mikpa sungen kone teni chin wapa chigire.
And this takes place by way of lighting incense, reciting mantra, and training in samadhi.
Teni ngaranzo ta tanda Mawey Senge nyamlen chisaki ne te layang ani chilap naro na so ne te chimpo sungtu.
So bestow bless this place of practice.
Ne la chingi lab yondu ne shingam ki rangshin kangba la chingi lab yondu kangba shaye kangi nangshin dir samgo res.
So as the blessings then descend, then the place that we are at becomes a pure realm, and if we are in a house, then that house is now a heavenly palace.
An tega nangshin rangi lunga yusum la kusung tuki chingi lab teni wang tang nguduk malupa tamche tol sandini sungare.
And similarly, our body, speech, and mind become perfect
Lu tang ngak tang yidla sanje ki ku sung tugi ani chingi labro na sung tu.
Ready to receive the blessings for the awakened body, speech, and mind.
Ta dinde tsikni digi jimbe chebare ta di duibe lura.
So that is the bestowal of blessings in the concise way.
Ta tili nyingbo di duiba indi ta digi tsik jemani digi tene nganzo choba chilabre.
And then thereafter there are two lines that are for the consecration of the offerings.
Tene sanga ki lukde la, ze dinzo la, ani jingi malabna, ani nga ki choba nidu drogo yoma che zang, ta ze dinzo choba mapulbi ngorul tu jinlab jik nye parto drogo gore.
And in secret mantra, it is necessary that the offerings are blessed, otherwise they cannot serve as offerings for the practice ritual.
Ngaranzo choba jik zangma pulbo ra, ten sanga gulu la, zangma ngoma de tene, chwe ki ingi neluk ki tang namba tunbe ki ze dila zang shwe zigi ra.
If we have something that we want to offer, then it has to be pure and suitable for offering. And in Vajrayana, it has then to be something that is of the nature of the Dhamma Dhatu, that which is offered. Otherwise, it will not qualify as worthy of being offered.
Ta ze dinzo yum nga tang, tene ze pulgen dinzo yishe nga tene, ta dinde ki rangshin to sal tabne pulgo goyo tondala.
So the substances that are offered are now the nature of the 5 female Buddhas, and the one offering is the nature of the 5 wisdoms.
Ta dinde mala nangsi shirshing la doa.
So it says appearance and existence as manifest ground.
Ta chö tham je pungpong nga la dugura, pungpong nga de tene yishe nga, rik nga, dinde ki ngo sal tab gora.
So the 5 aggregates, everything included in the 5 aggregates is now of the nature of the 5 wisdoms, perfectly pure.
Yana pungpong nga yung ngo de rangshin tongba ni, ngo tongba ni de chö ki ku san kore.
We can also say that the 5 aggregates are in their essence emptiness, the nature of Dhammakaya.
nangsi shirsheng sekendi shila yuepe chuni teka ki ngoyo ngangne shengba sardu ge shakpa tao chitang sardu chung shakpa chi gecha mayin bare.
Appearance and existence as manifest ground. Manifest ground means that whatever is the nature of the ground now simply manifests. It's not something that we produce or bring forth. It's just the natural arising of what is already there.
Chötam je ngo la ye domane sangyebe rangshin te ngoyo ngangle ta chöpe ki namba chi shengu ure.
So since all factors are since the beginning of pure and perfect nature, now they manifest as offerings out of that pure nature.
Tadila chi doyengi namba tham je teni ngaranso chöba ngo thakba nangchugi semjen tham je ani durzinga le thuba ra ta dinde che ta dinde gun poda modin zo yang ngo thapna shirap ji rangshin ta dinde yugune chinang sangsum ki chöba di shengu gore tangbu nga zo chi chöba che ra la ta di doyen nga daw tang ani nga zo chöba na doyen di no shagora sukta chiro rekja denzo tham je yang shi ngo la yene chugu chumbo rangshin le mate bara ti ngo ki chöba chakre res.
So the outer offerings of sense pleasures that we bring forth, those manifest now as, since in their nature they are nothing but the Dhammakaya nature, now they manifest as offerings out of that nature. And also the males and females who are present are all the nature of insight and means.
Tadila 주기 semjendinso yang ta duzingale dubshapeki shangasale sungita. Duzingale ta yora samanal. Ngatu duzingale dubeki pungbo chatingra. Ngatu semji towa mi yora. Shadak pungbo duzinga yora. Dingale dubeki teni nangi chobasang. Ta dinde ki keja yore ta tundala.
And the sentient beings now are the nature of the 5 amritas. So sentient beings as the inner offering manifest. Sentient beings themselves manifest as the inner offering of amrita, 5-fold amrita.
당도 쳐봤어긴데 가래 다 깨져 너는 짱마실 고거라.
Offering means if we have something that we offer in worship, then it has to be something very pure, no?
다 짱쇼데 가래 주기 내룩디라.
What is the purest that we could possibly find? It's the nature of reality.
다 쳐봐 담 저기나 초도 줘봐 대리.
So that is the best offering that we can give.
송진기 남도 제박한 게 먹어 봐 춘이 되레스.
Completely uncovered by the stains of grasping and fixation, the intrinsic nature.
다 딘데 레데 땅아저 레 당보바게 딘데 차상 검투고 말아 다디 기림 탑라 되는 공고를 했어.
So that is how it is, but for beginners it's not possible to bring this to mind, and so we have visualization practices to assist us.
되는 건저 람얌 감슨 되네. ngo버 짐바 탐제 섹터를 창고를 했어.
And then we recite Ramyam Kam, and then with that we burn, scatter, and wash away the grasping at entities.
되니 이게 홍래 되니 처반나든 되니 라이 추에 되니 샵실 라이 멘도 독베 되니 낭살 니마단 다와 되니 라이 티차 되니 아니 당한저 로지 폰숨 처바단 덴베 샬세 아니 이동의 로모 기 처바든조 이게 홍이기 남바데 쪼와진데 검고레스.
And then from a syllable or from syllables of Hung manifest the 7 offerings in perfect divine form.
처반나든디 아니 간저 라이 달라 예베 추디페 간저 추오예라 계단 덴바스라라 추이 케제 덴바.
So that the water that we offer has the 8 aspects of excellent water, heavenly water.
된 대가나 신기 샵실 라이 멘도 라이 뚝베 되는 간저 낭살기 말메.
The same with the remaining, the water for washing feet, the flowers that we offer. The incense, the food, the sounds, the 7 offerings, they manifest in this perfect and divine form.
되니 이게 옴델레 옴디 외도슈왈레 되니 이싱아이랑신 두징아 기 남바 아니 딘데지 되니 땅아저 메라니라 낭취텔라 멘티 두지 멘티 이게 옴슈왈레 두지기 땅 이시랑신 규송 삼고다 돌드나.
And then we have the Amrita and the Rakta that we use for the inner offerings. There's a syllable that transforms the Amrita to become again pure and perfect.
되니 아슈왈레 이게 아익디 외도슈네 아니 대화침보 깨베기 락다기 남바 규송 삼고.
And a syllable A that dissolves into the rakta, so it becomes the rakta of great bliss.
이기 홍익디 슈왈레 도잉아기 데네 하모딘 저기 아니 가란조 로치 푼숨 소베 뉴바단 덴베기 tor마 폴로티데 검추고
And with Hung, offering goddesses bring forth Toma, which is of perfect pleasures, with perfect fragrance, taste, and power.
다두루 낭시 시싱 최베 차갸데 군상 남돌 야조 징길로 소다 다디 군상 세겐테 마다바짜 메바 넘버 타베 랑싱기 ngoli charbe ani chi choba nangi choba sangwe chobe gi rangsindu ani jachawa jaso nangshin ta yigi hungdang om a hungsung gi chingi labali ani gyursong samda de meba namgo gore.
So, bless this great offering mudra of appearance and existence as manifest ground to be an ocean-like Samantabhadra manifestation. Samantabhadra means excellent in all regards. So the outer, the inner, and innermost offerings are now perfectly transformed by with the help of these syllables Om, A, and Hung. They transform into an ocean of Samantabhadra manifestation.
Tadi jel ngakdu om ahung benza guru sungdu om ahung sungindi te shuba nanshin gi jidang sanji gi kusung tu gi saben ra.
So then comes a mantra, Om Ahung. First in the mantra are, as we said before, the syllables of awakened body, speech, and mind.
Benza guru second lama dorje shubare.
Vajra Guru is Vajra and Guru.
Dewa second la.
Deva means God, God, a God.
Tangazo la de yidam de la kura.
Like the Yidam deity.
And Dagini second Kandroche.
And then Dakini is Dakini.
Then Jana second Yishi.
Jnana is wisdom, wakefulness.
Then Avesha ya second da popji sungre. Jingi labrochi sungur kulmachigera.
Abhishaya means bless, or bestow, blessing.
Ta doduna sanji gi kusung tukdang zawasum lama idam kandro namgi ishi gi jingi labar kishi sungure.
So, in short, we can say that bless Guru, Yidam deity, and Dakini, bless with wisdom, all to be of the nature of awakened body, speech, and mind.
Tene a thangbo degi ne de la timbache a chima degi ngo irme do jubarare.
And the short means, or with that, the blessing dissolves into the location, and with the second, the long it becomes inseparable from the location. The location becomes inseparable from this.
Andru hung segendita sangye tham chigi chilap duwalayang kochugre.
And Hung can be seen as a concise as the concise gathering of the blessings of all Buddhas.
Tene hung di ma choba chilap la jarna ni tane mada bengojin thamje torsong sambur hung digi toki.
And if we think in terms of the blessing of the offerings, then at this point, with the Hung, any kind of perception of these offerings as being impure has been purified.
Tene ta shebadi choki toya juguri.
Chokidun. Then Om next. Om can also mean supreme.
Sarva sakin tamji.
And Sarva is all.
Puja sakin di chebarwa.
Puja is worship or puja, yeah.
Mega sakin di tingi tondarwa.
And Mega means cloud.
Tene ahung shidika suta dorjuna ngajo chinang sangwe chebadi timbadi namkala chabana shingi tene gyachembegi namba gyursong sambura.
So when we say this, the significance is that now the outer, inner, and secret offerings have become vast and pervasive, like space.
Tangarancho di tanda ngarancho madabe nawa mangbu chi yudi madabe ki nawe ki nyembola ane tabe lagu di yaya kom.
Because we have many perceptions of something impure, then it is important to repeatedly visualize purity.
Tadi tap tumo mai bachi.
And that is a special method.
Tene tabe nawala ngajo zimba shuye mera.
Pure appearances are not something that we grasp at, that we should grasp at.
Kese tabe nawala zimba shuna tabe chasa.
Because if we do, then they are not pure appearances anymore. They become impure appearances.
Chezang ta shemba meba zimba meba gyuregi tap tumo mai bachagi yore.
So this is an extraordinary method for overcoming attachment.
Tangaranzo semna tiwa dawshang lepsigira ngaranzo ngang tang dindede mada bache taba gyurso mayin bache yimba gyurso samna ti digi mares.
Then it could be that we think, well, we had some things that were not very pure, and then we visualized something to make them pure, and so we have somehow now begun to perceive things in a way which they actually aren't, but that would be a mistake to think.
Tangaranzo jidang gikireshina chötamje ngo tongbatrasne ke lengirwa.
We all agree that everything is emptiness beyond construction, no?
Töda segendi teni dada mada kareresne tiwa tina teni ti lensozo hagugura.
And is unconstructed emptiness pure or impure? Each your own reply to that, no?
Ta umagi lobjo mangbo chigi yore teni shirab ge pardu chimbegi kola samlo tangi yodi ta di tendi gyachombo shugo mar tamji kengen barwa.
You study the Madhyamika, so you contemplate the nature of and the significance of the Prajna Paramita. So there's no need to go into that at length here. You already have a good sense.
ngo tongbanyi to juru segendi tongbanyi mayin bashi tongbanyi chabo marwa tongbanyi yimba tegarang tongbanyi yimba salde bara ta tere to that.
And it's not that we make things empty, no, by thinking about them as empty. It's just that we acknowledge their emptiness, and that's the key point to be kept in mind here.
마인 바지 임바 쓰나 임바디 마인 바차이지 과갑진 얘기를 했어.
Nine bachi.
동반이 마인 바치 간저 동반이 쇠송아이나 그 동반이 임바디 동반이 마인 바차이지 과갑지 가르치라고 말했어. 디워딜리그로 과갑 직송 거라.
동반 nine bachi.
if 다 최디 내룩디 동반이 마인 발라 간저기 ngang ding di samla tang tongmani chaksong maimba ji imbare sam dikezi demba yin sona tongmani imba diang tongmani maimba chabi kokapchi tegora.
Did you understand that?
That if it's not empty, but we make it empty with the mantra, there's a chance it could become not empty again.
Okay. So if we think of something that isn't empty as empty, yeah, then it could be again turn into not empty.
다진서 음악이 리바르 키난 삼르던 하고 그랬어.
So if you think about the Madhyamaka reasoning, then this should be clear.
똥만이 임바식 똥만이 마임바 차이고가 메라.
Something that isn't empty cannot become empty, no?
다 된다 딜토고 그랬어.
So that's the real key point.
올라선 딱 계제 뭐 마시. 디디 최 탐지기 네로 유르바 메바텔라 데 임바르레 셰뱅앙레 도나 유리아 메레스 다 된다 님부터 슈게.
So in short, if we can arrive at the way things actually are, then because it is the way things actually are, it can't change. Things are the way they are, and there's no change in that.
데니 똥바 세데가 송가 값수 똥바 똥장랑 거에 민바 동사 송주기 전라 거 랭고
And
그랬어.
that is also why we should not think of emptiness as some sort of absence, but the unity of clarity and emptiness.
올라서 다 디게젤라 띵에진 살다버 제발라 데니 가 닝메기 투모 마인베 케줄라 띵에진 넘버 숨 세겐디 당보 살다고 그랬어.
And when we begin the visualization practice, then according to the Nyingma approach, as a sort of distinctive feature of the Nyingma approach, that visualization has to take place by way of the three samadhis.
다 추구 대신이 외설강 선다 된지 숨도 다 되게 대신이기 띵에진 땡기래.
And when we say Dhammakaya suchness space, then that shows the samadhi of suchness.
다 최탐 제디 ngola 예도만에 랑신 쩨바탐 제단 타베 다 이식이 ngola 네바라 디 네바 딩오 나다 냠바르 샤바텔라 거래.
Everything remains the unconstructed nature of suchness, and so acknowledging that, we rest in that recognition.
아니 타시당 딱체기 타 강도야 미네바.
Completely beyond the four extremes, permanence and annihilation, etc.
데네 남달 숨기랑시
The nature of the three gateways to liberation.
오 동반이 규체마 메바 두 멤버 메바.
The
치길람네 조드 메바 딱단 세메랑신도 마주바. 아니 두 두지기 감라 미네바 멤바함 두버체바 메바. 뭐 그런가? 치길람네 조드 메바.
the no absence of marks with respect to the cause, emptiness with respect to the essence, and absence of wishes with respect to the fruition, inexpressible and inconceivable.
다디가라 냠버샤고 그래스.
Letting be in that state.
아니 디 냠낸 제송나 안조 치시 다네 아니 추구 응원도 지와라 다 펜도여레스. 코르바캅송 안조 치위시 바치라.
And to rest in that samadhi of suchness is beneficial in terms of purifying the baro of the point of death.
다디 추구기 된다레스.
This Dhammakaya recognition.
롱쿠 가메 꾸나 닝제짤 세디고스 꾸낭 기팅이 진땡레스.
And then Sambhogakaya unceasing illumination, that refers to the all universal illumination, the second samadhi.
아니 딘데기 춘이 고 동사 송주기 랑시 마도 네 송진이기 샤완도 주네 코라 참베 조아 남라 테네 짐바메베 나네 닝지 깨바텔라 테 닝지 규마함 군난기 띵에지 슈그레.
And then out of that state of the Dhammakaya suchness and the unceasing illumination of the Sambhogakaya, the compassionate expression that takes form out of that is the Nirmanakaya seat samadhi.
디 냠린나라 나나저 바르도기 바시 정화 펜토그레스.
And that helps us purify the bardo of the intermediate states, the bardo of becoming.
텐테가 저 롱구 민지도 롱구 멤버 제발라 다 탑통 많이 받쳐. 먼저 되게 대신 얘기 띵인 징기 추구 토발라 펜토고 좋아. 안 단다디 군도 나외 띵인 징기 롱구 토발라 펜토고레스.
The Sambhogakaya of unceasing illumination is just like the Dhammakaya samadhi, the Suchna samadhi, is the method for actualizing or helps assist us in the actualization of the Dhammakaya. So does the unceasing illumination of the Sambhogakaya help in actualizing that body, the Sambhogakaya.
나란소 바르도 시베 값수 되니 사국의 남바샤야 외단 틸리기 남바디 추기 인기고 남바샤바디 고마시는 출구라 단단한도 추기 인데 닝지 규만데 계속나 디 고시는 데 좋아라인 펜토고레스.
Yeah, getting.
나란소 바르도기 남와 값수 다 나저 팀림 중사회자라 양 나저 디 외당 틸레기 남바 사국의 남바 샤기로와 이나디 춘이기 고 더블 샤와 임바 나저 고 마시디 랑낭라 셴낭도 툴용디 니징기 샤완도 주네 양 커바 게기 규칙 사토그라 다든다 똥바니 팅오 낭레 마토 베도아 셈진 남라 밍메기 닝지 게용디 대기 짤당 롱구의 남바 샤다니 시튼바이 띠인디 롱구 민제도 저거레스 디컵스 ngoshe tuye dawda an tega na che mongbo longu dugi gyutumo mai ba che nyamnin ti rimbe gan 저거레스.
Just like the suchness samadhi helps us in terms of achieving liberation at the point of death, the having trained in this illusory form of compassion that is the intent of this samadhi of universal illumination will help us purify, or not purify, but help us achieve liberation when the forms of the divine forms are perceived subsequent to the point of death, meaning at the time when the displays of forms of awakening occur, at that time, rather than being blinded by this manifestation and those forms becoming a source of further grasping, we will, because of having trained in the perception of Sambhogakaya forms during the present life, be able to achieve liberation on that basis. So our own visualization of forms of the Sambhogakaya during this life, and the Sambhogakaya forms that are perceptible at that time are of the same basis, so to speak. So the training is beneficial for us in terms of recognizing and gaining liberation there.
Tene tulgu juye tingzin ri karbo sungyongdi te kapso tene ngaranzo juye tingzin ani tingyores.
And then finally, Nirmanakaya seat samadhi, that is the causal samadhi.
ngaranzo tongni dang ningji sungdu jukbe ngole
이게 리 karboshi trowachi komkore.
And here we visualize a white syllable 3, which is the unified expression of emptiness and compassion.
Teni ngaranzo ta kewa lendi kapsu kewa lenla kebegi kesi sinchira kewa lero chidi kapsu gi semgi namba chera zimbachi kegira ti dagres.
And what is purified there is the state which is just ready to take birth. The sort of impulse for taking birth that makes one take birth under normal circumstances is purified by training in this.
다 딘데 되게 되는 간저 뚫고 아니 대우 탐제 조버기 아니 다 다리 돌라고 그래 탑도 차그래.
And it is also a method for actualizing the Nirmanakaya.
다 게림 야부 검거에나 이게 식 당부 거랑라 간저 넘버 살와 아니 배직 다진에 살den기 책 예스인데 송구리 게림 거서 가진 지금 뭐 야부 살도 버지 고고래 당부.
So in the visualization instructions, we are told to visualize this white syllable 3 very clearly and with attention to 8 distinctive features.
다딜라 속이 이게양 라그래.
It is called also the life force syllable.
띵이 제 넘버 숨도 야부 삼로 땅 투소나 달레 당부바기 게림 고마 값서 삼로시라 야부 땅 마투나 메바체나양 람 노르기 마레스.
If we can acknowledge or pay attention to, so to speak, these 3 samadhis, then otherwise, if we're not that advanced in terms of our practice of development stage, we are not going to do anything wrong. We are not going to go wrong because we are familiar with the 3 samadhis.
그래서 도르드나 람기 냠렌티 똥니 닝제 송도 주변 올레 샤나 노르기 말해. 이메나 때는 노래냥 같이 보여레스.
Why is that? Because if we are familiar with the 3 samadhis, then we will be training in the expression of the unity of emptiness and compassion, and then we cannot go wrong. And on the other hand, if we don't practice in that way, then we pretty much will go wrong.
다 똥바니기 따와 되기 따탈레 돌아치기리 닝제 유명기 띵에 진티기 체달레 돌아치기리.
The suchness of emptiness frees us from the extreme of permanence. The illusory compassion liberates us from the extreme of annihilation.
당연한저 딱신이기 탈람 말롱와 똥니 닝제 송도 주변 람신 고거다.
So that we do not fall to any of these to the sides of any of these 2 extremes, but arrive at the inseparable unity of the 2, emptiness and compassion.
다시 레라오레스 고미야칼 하오레스.
Very easy to say and hard to actualize in practice.
테니 디인디다 투바톱 상지게 뇽뇽레스.
Which is why there are few who gain accomplishment and become Buddhas.
셰긴다 mambu라그레스.
Well, it's not so hard to get people to talk about this.
테니 닝부디다 다 냠낸 제대로.
But the real essence, core of the issue is practice. Yeah.
다 돈다 닝부 쉬나 되게 쉬바 나신기 다 짐바 메바 셴바 메바 송진이달 세긴다 두르랑 두고요.
So in what it really comes down to, all of this then is freedom from grasping, freedom from attachment. Yeah.
ngaranso doa miti anji kewa chilengo di teni shiko gore pardola drogo gore teni kewa la ningsam jorsala ani lungsim jugo gore teni luikene teni ki 딱 통만 몇 번에 류기에 체메디 디기 박차 된 것도 투보여라.
We have very strong propensities that compel us to take birth. First, if we are alive, then we will have to die, and when we have died, then we will be driven to take birth again. There will be some sort of connection between this life and the next through the agency of prana and mind. And that whole process of continuous death, life, death, and rebirth is extremely. We have such a strong tendency to do this again and again.
다 딘데기 박차 투보디 종말 체바 딘데기 박차 텔리야 타르바 체발라 대기 림바다 튠비기 추에 냠낸 체나 님부 두고라 게림기 림바 대차게레스.
But if we can then train in a way that goes along with our tendency, then that method will be a remedy to what otherwise happens because of our tendency. And that's how the development stage practice works, as that kind of remedy.
딘데기 갑라 숭진 디토리아라 단다기 람기 림바티 검소나 디기 펜토고레스.
Yeah, so if we can practice in this way now, then at that time of death and being in the process towards a new birth, our ability to remain free from grasping and fixation will be greatly facilitated.
다 게림기 냠낸 딘소 랍중나 체딜라 투고레 마중나 바르도 대 마중나 때니 깨와 숨 튜인스 되는 시행구라.
If we practice development stage very well, then in this very life we will be liberated. Otherwise, in the intermediate state, or perhaps in 3 or 7 lives, and that is the way that the development stage practices work.
최고 대신 얘기 띵인지 스네 치와 다스라데 가서 다 검망보 얍 안에 라마체데 똑바 초된지 원에 셈티 슈네 셈고트네 검망보 잡겐치나 치와라 깡갈 튀네 시비 값서 짐바 튀네 슈 말레스 코랑기 체딜 값서 검 잡베기 춘이 대당 시비 값서 가랑서 류 락바티 스타일용디 숭진이 태기 고갑지시라 매바리 연나 탐모시리 다 디강라 남도기 치기요 말레스.
So if we have trained in the samadhi of suchness, meaning if we have received introduction to the nature of mind from a true master, recognized the nature of mind, and then become really familiar with just being in that way, then death is not really an issue. It's there's nothing difficult at all about death. That which would create the problem and the challenge is grasping and fixation. And because we are familiar with the natural state of the mind within which there is no grasping, no fixation, the relocation of death, it's difficult even to say that it occurs.
다 치와 타보 웨살 죽고스는데 체딜라 검 야고 잡 베기 데울라 되니 치위 값을 돌려라 아니 튕김배 야고 차대요레스.
So, in other words, if we can train in this way during this life, then that purifies the event of death, and this luminous liberation can occur very freely also at that time.
다 남주 직된 용달라 치와 생들라 마타겐 수지에 마라 탐지 딱이라.
Otherwise, just even the word death, everyone it's something that makes us uncomfortable, right? As mundane people, that's just it's something that we really don't like.
치와라 미탁바 치와 스네 계속나 퉁겐 드롭글도 차고는 딱 검냐고 그래. 대마도 탑시 가야 말스.
But if we don't like death, then if we really don't like it, what to do is meditation. Otherwise, there's no way of getting rid of death, so to speak.
다 당부시 처바 망부 불 창망부 창악 망부 되나에 대삼지 팽개 말했어.
To be honest, otherwise, making plenty of offerings, offering prostrations, chanting, and so on, is not that effective.
다 균이 펜토거든. 무슨 펜토고요 말했어.
It has benefit, of course, indirect benefit, but not the direct, immediate benefit.
다디 니 람마라 빼자거란 람다 되게.
And that's not
초
just
대신 니기 외설 강 세겐디 초구 람도 키레기 미버시베기 탑통을 많이 바래 센데 쌍악 최고라는 송샤비게자.
and this is not something that Khenpo just is telling us, right? It's the message that we very clearly get from the tantric teaching, as we find it here, no? The Dhammaka Sadhana space. That is the purifier of the event of death. No? It's very clear.
디제 rumbuchigi kalop kenamba 망부 센차레 야야 검잡소인데 짜와 닝보기 냠네 제송거렸어.
So you have all received instructions from Chokling Tersar many times. So when he says practice, then that's what the intent is.
다디 rumbuchi 딱발 송송하라.
This is something that we have heard Rinpoche instruct us in many times, no? That we have been instructed in many times.
딘데 rumbuchigi 딱발 롱디 송거래. 덤바 산제기 송여레스. 조유 동al 차기 셀레 말레스. 니기 또바 셴라 포니 말레스. 주니 10월 때 베트와 있어. 탑시 직장 말이 꿀마 제들에도 다 꿀마데 제기를 다 제다 맞이 소소라래.
And also, as he says so often, no, citing the Buddha, that the Buddhas cannot protect sentient beings from with their hand. They cannot wash away their obscurations with some special water. They cannot transfer their realization from themselves to sentient beings, but by showing the truth of the intrinsic nature, everyone is liberated. So they can't do it for us, but they can show us, and they can remind us and inspire us. But whether we really do this, whether we accomplish it, depends on ourselves.
간저 섬야고 따는 간저 시에라 가진 따거리 시엑스네 매바찬나 레라보라 디 마르와 디기 젤라 깨와상에 간데실레에선 따딱상 엄마 디라
So why are we afraid of death? If we were just going to disappear, then there wouldn't be anything to be afraid of. So why it can't be that makes us uneasy about death. So it must be what comes after death that we worry about. And then if we can practice in this way, then what would there be to worry about?
단자다우 주나 오트라 딜리 껴르스나 따 갈리침부라
But otherwise, many things can happen, no? After death. If our situation is like this, one more time, then really not that bad. But it could also be quite a bit worse, yeah? That would be really uncomfortable.
디니 깨와스네 가릴레 주스 때 간저 땡땡 값을 따버시 바래 마릭니진 생 랍거리
And what is it that makes us take birth in this way? When we studied dependent origination, it's ignorant dualistic grasping. Yeah?
테 마릭니진 기념보디 간저 도이 값을 담에 또 베시랍 라거리 다 니미기 시 대가랑 차대라
And what is the remedy against that? In the general context of the teachings, it is insight into the nature of no self. It's this nothing else than the non-dual wakefulness that we talk about here.
다 깨와 균죄거나 딱 검자거리
So if we want to be free from this continuous process of being bound to take birth, then we need to meditate.
게메 이식 인강 생 치코랑 숭그라
the unborn wakefulness, the state of unborn wakefulness.
다디 간제 요레스인데 라마 세덴 군드니 담가 세덴 슈나마도 칼리크보레스.
And how is that? To really understand that unless one receives authentic instruction from an authentic master, it's really hard to get a sense of that.
라소 다 드링가 좀 잠시만요.
And we will then stop here for today.
드링 딱 공을 매버시 대화엔 슈그메스.
And today, no question about whether you have questions.
장주 샘조 림보체 마제 바남 제교 개바 냠바 메바야 공네 공 벨와쇼 소남 디에 담제 세바 톱네 녜베 다나 범제네 개가나 쳔발라 투 세베 솔레 도와 도와